let's get started. Now everybody's here.
All right, so request for the meeting today, of course, is, well, actually, there was a couple of reasons. The budgets, first and foremost, but also something that's included in the water wastewater budget specifically that we can talk about. We'll answer any questions that y'all have. I will say this, there's a couple of, I think as far as I'm concerned, the budgets are pretty standard. There's not any substantial changes, of course, other than the rate increase that we had, that was voted in a few weeks ago with water. So Heath and Mark had put together before all that took place, it went ahead and, because we go into budget mode really in late January, early February. So we had already prepared a budget based on our current rates. And then, of course, once all of that was passed a couple weeks ago, then Heath went back and redid the numbers and fit everything in with our new rates that will go into effect June the 1st. So there's a couple of things that really sticks out to me, and I'll be glad to discuss any item that's in either one of the budgets, and we can start with one or the other. Gas is probably, I won't say it's more simple, but there's just less things that we're going to try to get accomplished as far as the changes. We are asking for to move one helper to an apprentice. No new position added, but what we are asking is to move one helper up to an apprentice. The pay, correct me if I misspeak on anything, but the pay is the exact same for a first year apprentice as it is a helper. So there will be no increase in salary or anything like that for the first year. Now, year two, when they move to year two apprentice, there is an increase, but we will take that into consideration and into effect when we do the budget for fiscal year in 2028. The other things that I'd like to point out that's pretty much it for gas. And y'all correct me if I'm wrong. We've got some capital and some different things that we're wanting to, things that we're wanting to get purchased. So I think there's a truck and some other things that we can go through and look at. But just the high points of both of them, water and wastewater. There's two things that I'd like to bring up. We are asking for a third service truck, which we've looked at that for 4 years now. But we didn't want to increase rates just for that purpose and all the things that are associated with that. That was in our original budget that he put together back starting in February before we had a rate increase. And we still would like, to add that. We're servicing, I think the last count that I had, we're servicing 27,300 customers, and we're doing it with two service trucks. Those guys are running 70, 80 calls a day. And so we would like to add that third person in order to alleviate a little bit of the workload.
And a lot of that probably is outside the city limits.
Yes, they could be from one end of our system to the other end, all the way from Blue Water and Center Star to the Oakland area out in there, So, of course, they try to, you never know, you have unexpected calls, so you never know what your day's going to consist of, but they try to strategically plan their day. That way they're not constantly back and forth.
Sure.
So that's one big item that will be on the budget. And like I said, it'll be the one position. And then the other thing of interest that I made note of was the rate study that's going to be required for PFAS, for the bond market, for all the things that are associated with that. Based on conversations that I've had and folks that we've talked to, I think Jackson Thornton is probably the firm that I know that would be my pick. Of course, I'm open to suggestions, but I know Mark and I have talked about it. Will and I have discussed it at length. And that cost is $50,000 is the estimate. They actually gave us a range, and I'm just going to use the upper end of the range. Hopefully it will come back cheaper. But we did budget for that, and it's an expected, I think, around 90 days for that to take place. So budget goes in July 1. We would like to start on that. Matter of fact, if you guys agree to everything that's in the budget, and then of course we get approval full council approval, I'll go ahead and start that process. But I'll make sure that we don't spend any money until after July 1st when our budget goes into effect.
Yes,
But,
please.
but that's going to be a necessary step, in order for us to continue down the PFAS road, if you will. They're going to require it, based on some conversations that we've had with.
How much do these companies charge
This is about this. He said anywhere from 40 to 50,000.
if there are people that do it cheaper?
There's a chance that we could potentially get it done cheaper. There was one other company that was brought to, and I'll tell you how much I looked into it based on some conversations. I don't even remember the name, but I could get the information for you. But everybody that I've spoken with, and I know the electricity I've never used Jackson Thornton personally in my time, but I know Mary, and she, speaks very well of them. There's another company that's kind of a nationwide company, but according to some folks that I've talked to, you just don't get the service and the response.
Jackson Thornton has an office in Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I believe Birmingham, if I'm not mistaken.
So
And I've actually, they're so interested, they sent a gentleman by the name of Jim Marshall up back a few months ago, and he actually came in and sat down and spoke with me about it. So they're definitely interested in it. So those are the two big additions, the position and of course that, because it's a pretty major expenditure. But it will be necessary in order for us to continue to do what we can do with PFAS. So, can y'all think of anything other than, and y'all can look through it, and I'll be glad, Mark, whoever, Rebecca, Heath, we'll be glad to, and we'll be glad to answer any questions that y'all have. But it's pretty.
These are the actual budgets.
Right.
And this is something we just prepare. It gives like 3 years of history of where we are in the current year and the budget we've got going forward. And these are separate for gas and water. We got it combined on the regular, but like the last, on the table of contents, page 36 and 37, those are the two personnel changes he was just referring to.
Yeah.
We show them all in utilities, any kind of personnel change.
And that gives you a breakdown of the costs and everything that's associated with that.
And gas and water, wastewater budgets all have line items of where major budget expenditures, capital purchases, we would like to expend money or have budget items in there. And you can look at those. Everything with gas, water, and wastewater has escalated in price post-COVID. Everything in the world has escalated in price
I think I
post-COVID.
remember that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, at the end of the day, there's a lot of cost in operating these two utilities.
We can just kind of flip through, and like I said, if y'all see anything that sticks out, we'll gladly answer any questions. Of course, gas is what you come to first. And you can see how it's broken down. It's pretty in depth. Page 5 is going to give you your total revenues. And you can look how everything's revenue, that's by class on page 6.
And there's no debt with the gas, correct?
That's correct, yes, ma'am. Page 7, you can see it kind of gets in. There's our purchase gas cost, transmission expense, distribution expense, customer account expense. It's all broken down. There's the line items that will, like you can see, each line item is broken down. And of course, like on page 8, one of your bigger numbers is the administrative and general salaries. That's your payroll. You can see where that's at, $682,000. Benefits, pension, that type of thing. Employee dental and health. I don't remember. Do you remember any big?
The biggest one on gas is always going to be purchase gas cost.
Yes.
Yeah, natural gas is a publicly traded commodity. We have a hedging program in place, and we use an outside firm to assist us with procuring natural gas at opportune times, but you're really at the mercy of pipeline companies as well as the storage facilities on hey, if they put limitations in place on the amount of natural gas you can inject into storage or withdraw from storage, you're left purchasing natural gas on the open market sometimes.
Which we ran into in January.
Yes.
Yeah, well, basically, we
Prices
had,
skyrocketed and we couldn't do.
we had an operational flow order in place on both pipeline systems that we purchased natural gas from, where they locked in injections or withdrawals, which in this case, in January, it's gotta be a withdrawal. You're not able to inject natural gas into storage in the middle of winter. So they locked in withdrawals, pretty much locked the door on the gas that we had purchased, and we were forced to buy natural gas on the open market to keep our customers' heat on.
And we avoid that at all costs if we can, but it was just one of those situations where.
And we took a pretty substantial hit doing that, and we just ate that. We live to fight another day now.
So the truck that you want to purchase, what's the, okay, what's the price on that?
The truck,
For the gas department, it's gonna be on page,
I have to get flipped back.
it'll be on like page
13,
14,
yes.
Rebecca's got it there.
Yes.
So it's an extended cab, four-wheel drive truck with a service body. That's basically trucks that we use for our natural gas crews working in the field, as well as servicemen responding to natural gas emergencies or customer issues or complaints.
And we will, we'll roll one off and put one in its place.
And that's about $85,000. Using state bid, we will probably be able to get in cheaper than that, I would say.
Yes,
But we'll put that 85,000 number in there to allow ourselves a little bit of cushion.
Another one of those bigger items that you can see on the same page in the 396 where, we put in for $70,000 for a mini excavator. But, there's potential there, same thing, we could probably get it cheaper, but we always make sure that we budget to cover just in case. Hopefully things will start going down, but who knows,
So when you hire for the service position, you'll probably, will you be pulling somebody from your current staff for that?
Yes, that,
On the water.
that's on the water
That's on the
side,
water,
yes, yes. But yes, that particular position is one of those that you have to have, I think it's a minimum of 3 years' experience. And so it'll be, we'll, and then of course we will replace that person, as it'll be a crew member.
Sure.
Yes.
And one object to note that at the beginning of the year, like Tad said, they usually start in January. He's asking the supervisors for their wish list of items you may want. And so Heath and Rebecca throw those in the budget, or put it all together,
Yep.
give it to Tad, Will, and they start cutting. No, we're not doing this, not doing this. So this is already cut down from it.
Yeah,
what they initially
You're not
asked
seeing
for.
what the supervisors have asked for.
Yeah, we
You're seeing
could.
what we're gonna allow them to have.
We've cut over $1 million from gas already, and we've cut, water. We spent so much time with the rates and everything, I remember it perfectly. It was 1.6 million we've already cut from water, somewhere in that neighborhood.
So this miscellaneous equipment is stuff that you feel that you've got to have?
It's stuff that we need.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you're looking at the gas budget, Councilmember King, you've got racks and cabinets for the warehouse, for storage, for materials. You've got emergency steel squeeze-off tools to squeeze off a steel gas main should it be hit by somebody excavating on the side of the road. Detecto-Pack infrared gas leak detectors. That's so that when we do leak survey, we can go up and say, hey, there's a natural gas leak on this service line.
Do you not already have those?
We do have some of those, but some of them are aged out.
Okay.
And, we have to, on the natural gas side with the PSC and PHMSA, you have to keep calibration records.
Right.
You have to make certain that your equipment is completely operational. They do that quarterly. And if we find, hey, we're gonna have to put a couple of $1,000s into this leak detection unit,
Sure.
it may be cheaper for us to go ahead and retire that and buy a new one and replace that old.
And it's just called Mr. Lane, that's the general ledger account name. It just doesn't belong in any of the others.
When we were talking about the truck, I asked, and you said you had one, what did you say you were gonna do with one?
We'll rotate one off, we'll sell it.
So,
Okay.
on the,
Yes, ma'am, unless it's something, you know, for instance, I don't think we did anything last year, but like, 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago when we replaced the well in the trucks with gas?
right, and
We had 2 trucks that were still in pretty decent shape. And so what we did is we sold those to, Mr. Coombs in the street department at a discounted price. And that's kind of what we'll do. We always ask around to see if any of the departments are in need. Most of the time, our equipment
war slap out.
is wore slap out, or it may be too large for their application. But we always ask around, and we were fortunate enough, I think, Mr. Coombs turned one into a salt spreader. And it was like an F650 or an F750. Anyway, it was a pretty good sized truck.
What did it sell for?
We sold it to them for, if I remember correctly, we had 2 of them, and I think we sold them combined for $10,000. So we, you know, and the trucks legitimately were probably worth, I'm gonna say they were probably worth double that, probably worth $20,000.
If we would have carried them to an online auction site or something like that.
Yes.
We could have gotten significantly more, but at the end of the day,
He was in need.
It
it's
allows-
in the better interest.
Yes.
of the
A general
city of
fund.
Florence
Yes.
To transfer.
We
that.
try to help where we can. Yeah. But that's what we do first, and then of
I was
course,
just
if,
curious.
yes, if any of the departments are interested, we try to work something out. But if they're not, then at that point we usually list it here. Most recently, Will takes care of that. He's been putting them on gov deals,
Right,
and then we sell them
on the very next page of the gas budget, there is a vehicle that is to be disposed of. It's not a truck, it's a little small cargo van. And we'll be placing, if we end up buying this truck at some point throughout our operating budget in 2027, at that point, we'll put this on gov deals and probably sell it.
Yes.
It's not gonna bring you that much money, but it will offset to defray some of the costs.
And like I said, we'll go through the process if anyone's interested. There's potential there that somebody might have an interest in that because it's not a large vehicle, but most of our equipment is, you know, relatively large in nature, so. Let's see. And then page 16, you can see, I mean, that's a list, that's,
Gas department, trucks.
vehicles that we have. And, the number and all that good stuff. So any questions about the gas side of it? Page 17, just like Mark said, page 17, we roll into water, wastewater. Basically go through the same thing.
Is 1999 still?
Absolutely. Still room.
Still running.
Way to get under the water.
Yeah, gas is new.
Yeah, we win.
We're in really good shape gas wise. Just, we'll get on over there in a few minutes, you may see some 70, no, I'm just kidding. You
We're
don't see any
talking about
70.
manual windows. We still got some manual window unit.
But we can flip through water, start with page 17. If you see anything that stands out, like I said, the main thing, it's pretty standard. The main thing is I think now we went in correctly, we increased everything 3%.
Yes.
So, where we initially had, before we got our rates, I think we had initially increased 1.5%. Is that what?
1.5%,
Yeah, but now we're more on par with where we should be. So the rate increase was a definite help.
And page 19 is the general summary of everything. The total is the budget, but water actually has 3 sections of Florence waters, wastewater, and Gillum water.
Yes.
So it's broken out separately where
I was
everybody else
wondering.
just has the one section.
I'm glad you explained that.
And that's the summary of the overall summary of the water budget, to where it was page 3 on gas.
Water,
is your
wastewater.
overall summary.
So I was trying to flip through. anything that stood out. You know, of course, there again, our payroll, power consumption, you know, plays a large part with water. Some of the fuel just look, you can see some of those numbers. Like for instance, pumping expenses, you know, we almost $900,000, a little over $850,000 for pumping expenses. But that plays a large part with water. Just costs money to convey. And then of course your payroll and benefits, all that same as with gas. Let's see, where is the? It always throws me off because it's sad, but so. Landscape instead of, of course, it's whatever. You see on page 29, it kind of gives you a breakdown of the plant, water treatment plant, transmission, distribution, collection. And then there again, you kind of get down to the pumping. That gets into lift stations, more associated with wastewater. And that continues over on the page 30. And then you got general plant, which is, you know, land rights, structures, improvements, office furniture, so on and so forth.
Now explain the killing part of this, and
Okay.
why that's on the budget.
We have to, we track it, we basically have to track it separately because, and y'all can probably give a better explanation than I can.
When
We were
ADM,
forced to take.
when
Yeah,
ADM,
yeah.
when
We
ADM
were
forced
basically
the
forced
city
to
of
take it.
Florence to take Killing over, we had to set up separate
Wouldn't use the
accounting
word forced, but-
for Killing.
That's
Strongly
when, that's
ask
when at the
Emerson,
time that their
we
water
encourage.
rate went up.
But their water rates went up multiple times since we've owned them.
Okay.
But their water rates were already higher than the city of Florence's when we took Killing over.
Okay.
in the
What year
1990s.
was that?
Been about 1994, 93,
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
something in that neighborhood.
I've seen dates of 93 and I've also seen dates of 94, so.
There was a lot of legalese back and forth, and a lot of documents associated with the transfer of Killing and their plant asset as their distribution system in those wells, as well as the employees that they had on staff, which was about 4 total employees at the time, came to Florence. And we had to track everything.
So you weren't given a choice in this?
Pretty much.
So that could happen again with another water system in
Absolutely.
the
If
city?
if ADM deems it to be in the best interest of the individuals who are served by that system, they will step in and say, hey, Ted used the word strongly asked, and that's probably more accurate. I stated that we were forced to take them. ADM comes and says, hey, you know, this water system's struggling financially, this water system is struggling operationally.
They're not meeting
Will-
compliance, all
They're
of
not
those
making
things.
compliance. Will you guys take them over and operate them? And you can say no. I just don't
But
think.
what?
Yeah,
The
that's
second
They won't
time,
ask
they
you
won't
that
ask.
time.
They won't ask.
They'll
second
ask the first time, second time you will not be asked, you'll be told.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So,
They'll tell you in a nice way, but, yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah. You get over, one of the things that I always look at, and we can certainly discuss it, but, you know, the debt for the water department. So if you'll notice, like on page 31, I think it's line, I have to get my glasses adjusted, 37103, you'll see where we've got SRF funded lift station, Briar Cliff lift station. So we still have some funds available through that SRF loan that we plan on, you know, it's kind of rolled over into this budget. Heath, correct me if I'm wrong, was it about 2.5 million?
2.4.
2.4? Yeah.
It's on page 27.
Page 27, yeah. I knew I passed it at some point. But there are some, and that will go for, yeah, there it is. That'll go for, concrete and clay, sewer replacement, some other things that's just kind of rolled over actually this is probably about the fourth or fifth budget that it's rolled into, so, but I was thinking it was around 2.4 million, so we'll go ahead and continue with that, but that'll be the last of the last of the SRF funding, and then of course we gotta pay it back. So go ahead.
No, I mean, that's what page 27 does. It's a summary of all your capital that you're planning on buying. And the bottom part is where it's broken down into account, and the top part is where the money's gonna come from to pay it.
Yes.
And it starts with your net income, less what you're having to make in principal payments, which on water was steep. I mean, the net income was 3.871, and your principal payments were 3.7. So it doesn't leave you with much to start with. But then you can add back the non-monetary expenses, or we call them paper expenses, like depreciation. It's no cash outflow, and then the 2.4 million we were talking about. And so if you buy everything in your budget, water would still have money to put into reserve this year, which we need to do.
Yes, desperately.
And it's the same thing for gas on page 10. But at the same time, if they purchase everything in their budget, which doesn't happen, they would have to pull 2.581 out of reserves. It's that bottom line under source. The transfer to from reserve.
What page is that on?
That's on page 10.
Page
10 for gas and
27.
for water.
Yeah. But we're gonna be, of course, we're gonna be meticulous with both. And like Mark said, very seldom, do we buy everything? And I'll use this for example. We've had the TV truck on the budget now for,
At least 8 years.
but it's $500,000, between a $600,000 purchase. And we've got the money to purchase it, but we've simply not bought it because now we're in a much more comfortable position now that we've had the rate adjustment. But we've not purchased it because we didn't know if we were gonna have some major issue that we would have to take that money and apply it. And I'll use, in even the talks and discussions that we had, we referenced the clear well at Cypress Creek. That was just one of those unfortunate things that happened, but it was a $230,000? I know it started out like $265,000, but I think we wound up spending about $230,000 to make that repair, best I can remember.
I think it was a little more than that.
May have been,
It was in the
yeah.
200s.
Yeah, it was. I knew it was around $250,000, and so that's the reason. But now that we've got a little breathing room, and with our rate adjustment, we're going to go ahead and pull the plug. Chris has actually looked at a couple of different options.
Yes, and when we get to the vehicle listing page on the wastewater budget, you'll understand where we're coming from with this camera van. It's been in the budget for about the past 8 years. We have not pulled the trigger and bought one. When we get to the vehicle listing page for the water and wastewater department, you'll understand the need for that and the necessity for it.
It's going toward the rear, so.
Yeah, we can bring it back up when we get there.
Right.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
If you look on your, where is it at?
Page 34 is the actual listing.
Yeah, but I was looking for the camera van on this line. All right, so it's on page 33 under tool shop and garage equipment. It's item number 9.
The 580.
Yeah, I knew it was around.
So
it went up. So 580,000 is what we anticipate.
That's been in our budget for the last 8 years.
I have, now that we're in a better situation than we have been, I've told Chris to really concentrate on getting that. We're nearing the end of this budget. We may go ahead and pull the trigger and buy it under our current budget, and then we can eliminate off of it now. But I don't know that he was doing a little more research into it, is just to make sure that we get the correct unit for our application and what we need.
Chris, tell us the need and how important this is.
So, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Every call we get on sewer, where we have to go and check a main, because right now we don't have the capability to check a service lateral. But every call we get.
And those service laterals do not belong to the city.
Right, and those are private service laterals, but we would like the ability to be able to look up into that. Now, we can see it, with our current setup, we can see where it ties, where the service lateral ties into the main. And if there's damage there, of course, you can see it with a camera, but we would like to have that telescopic camera, which it's a small addition. I mean, it's not the brunt of the bulk of the cost, but we would like to be able to go up into those service laterals and, and I'll use the animal shelter. They were having issues and we were able to put our camera down in there and we looked, and right at the end of the service lateral there was a dog toy, and that was what was causing their issues. So every time we go out on a sewer call, we put the camera in the pipe and we inspect. So it's a critical piece of equipment.
I got a question. We did the rate increase, but I thought y'all said you weren't gonna be buying vehicles.
No, we're not buying any. Now, what we've got on the budget, we actually had budgeted before the rate increase. We're not adding any more, I guess is what we're trying to say. We're not buying any vehicles because of the rate increase, if that makes sense. Now, because like I said, the camera inspection unit has been on the budget for many years. We actually could buy it right now under our current budget, but the reason we've not done so is just simply because if we had an issue and we needed to take that $580,000, we could apply it, to that issue. That's the reason we've not bought it. We actually have it for our current budget. This is not something that we're adding into the new budget for the upcoming year. I mean, we could physically go buy it now. We've just chosen not to because we didn't know what we were going to run into.
And just to add some clarity, Councilman Simmons, Mark stated earlier, we don't always buy everything that's on these budgets. A lot of the items that are in these budgets are items that we need, we want, we could probably use, but are they the most important items that we have to have? Some of these items that you see in this, let's just take, since we're looking at the water budget, pages 32, page 33, so on and so forth. We have those items in there. And just for the sake of argument, let's concentrate on the camera inspection van, just for our conversational purposes. The camera inspection van has been in the budget for the last 8 years. It is a big ticket item. Obviously, we would come to you guys before we purchased it. We would obtain pricing, get quotes, find the unit that suited our needs best. Then we would come to the council for approval. If you go to page 35, and you look about halfway down that vehicle listing, you're gonna see under the year column, 2000 Ford E450 TV van. Do you see that line item? That's a 2000 model van.
Is that the one you're using currently to
That's
do
correct.
this same thing?
It's 26 years old
That's correct.
But it's still working.
currently.
Are you still able to do the job that you could do, or is this gonna be something that's gonna change the
It's gonna
dynamic?
change the way that Tad described, with giving us the option to see up in a customer's lateral to completely determine, hey, this is your problem, this is not the city's problem. But the bigger picture here is, let's just say we're not gonna purchase it. And then our TV van breaks down tomorrow. Would you prefer this TV van be in our budget so that we could potentially purchase a replacement in a have-to, necessity situation? Or would you prefer we say, hey, we've got an emergency purchase of $600,000? So we place it in the budget for those purposes.
So you
Hey,
have to have this van in order to do your job?
Day in and day out, absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
It's used on a daily basis.
Tad used the situation at the animal shelter 2 weeks ago.
And I think you
it-
used it for me yesterday.
Yesterday,
at
yeah,
Treetop.
Treetop, yes, that was,
When I
they,
called.
So,
they
so
went out and
basically,
inspected a couple of hundred feet
of sanitary sewer lines.
sewer.
So when,
Just to ensure that, that we didn't have an issue that was creating their issue, basically.
Right,
So-
and that's
Yeah.
what and that's what we needed, thank you.
yeah, when we get a sewer call, we go out, we clean the line, and then as a follow-up, we come out, we launch the camera, and we go down and we inspect the area that was stopped up, backed up, where the problem was. That's what we use it for.
We made a
Day
point
in and day
repair, yeah.
So the van you have is really old.
It's a 2000.
And they're
It's
having
not the
issue-
oldest, it's not the oldest
Yeah.
piece of equipment
Oh, I
that the
see
water
that.
department has, but
I see that.
it's the oldest, most expensive piece, I guess you would say.
Yes.
Yeah, you got, what, 4 or 5 90s.
95 and 97.
The water department,
98,
we run them as long as we can potentially run them, you know. But it gets to the point where you're spending more money on repairs than
Do you have to repair this van often or the camera system?
We have, yes.
Yeah.
We've had to repair it multiple
Yeah.
times.
And the, you know, because you've got two issues. You got a 2000 model vehicle that you've got to worry about, but then you've also got everything inside that.
You got 2000 model computer equipment.
So this isn't a van you're just gonna drive around, it's gonna be something.
No,
you
yes,
use.
that's correct.
Absolutely,
It serves a specific purpose, day in and day out.
I want everybody to know
Yes.
and
Agreed.
understand.
Yes, ma'am.
That piece of equipment, and then of course the vac truck that we bought new last year are probably, would you agree, the most too important
On the sanitary
on
sewer
the
side.
sewer side? Those are our two. They're also very, very expensive items because the vac truck's about in the same range. I think it was just.
It was 525,000.
Yeah, it was just a fudge cheaper, but not a, but those are the most critical components as far as sewer's concerned. They're used day in and day out. And the reason I pointed out, there's others on there, but the reason I pointed out the TV van is because of the cost, but also because of the importance. I mean, you can look and see that there's other things within that. But to follow up on what you were saying too, Ms. Katrina, with or without the rate adjustment, the van was gonna be included. We were budgeting for that. It's been budgeted, we've just simply not bought it because of fear of something that we may encounter. But yes, it would have been, so we're not, what I'm saying is we've not added any additional vehicles because we did get, because of the rate adjustment. Everything that you see was in Heath's original
Yeah, we discussed.
budget, yeah, that he started putting together in February. Now, there were some other things that was probably in there initially that we cut. Like I said, we've already cut 1.6 or so from water, and I forgot exactly what it was from gas. But, you know, there were some other things on the superintendent's wish list, as we call it, but we've already cut those because it's something that we can either wait and get later, or it may be something that's just not a necessity for us right now.
So if you purchase this van, it's cheaper to do that, but in an emergency situation, it's gonna cost more money?
Well, it's about availability more than anything. Typically, when you order a piece of equipment, it's a very, very specialized piece of equipment. They usually build them to specifications that you send to the manufacturer. They do have some models that are setting ready to go from time to time, but not all the time.
I understand.
And that's
When-
kind of the approach that we took with the vac truck. They had a model that we could use, that we
It
could
was a
get,
demo unit,
that we could get cheaper, and I don't remember the exact savings on it,
about $75,000, $80,000.
but it met our needs and the application that we needed it for, and so, and the truck didn't have just a few thousand miles on it, I think, best I can remember, 3,000 or 4,000.
Still had factory
Factory warranty and all the things that we were looking for, so we saved ourselves
$80,000.
$80,000 because it did meet.
And when we start looking for one of these camera inspection units, we'll go and we'll reach out to multiple vendors that meet the specifications that we need. In Florence, you have some really old sanitary sewer infrastructure, a lot of clay, a lot of concrete. And most camera units today are built for PVC lines, ductile iron lines, and things like that. So there is some additional cost associated with the type of camera transporter that we have to have. The camera transporter that we have to have has tracks like a bulldozer to pull itself down the line. A lot of the newer units have like big rubber tires. If we try to put that on a clay or concrete line, clay or concrete lines have a smaller inside diameter, and those tires don't fit, and if they do, it starts trying to walk up the sides, and then it turns over in the sewer line, and now we've got to retrieve the camera out of the sanitary sewer line. Those track transporters keep it stable, and they follow the invert of the sanitary sewer as it meanders in a way that it was put in 100 years ago.
Because we actually physically drop it in and
Yeah, and it takes off down.
drive
the
it
line.
by the camera, drive it
Yeah.
by, you know, guide it by side, so.
Yeah, and we'll be happy if you guys want to see that van. We'll be happy for you to come down to our location. We can even bring it to a neighborhood and, you know, say, hey, you know, if you've got 30 minutes and you say, hey, I'd like to see this thing in operation, we'll bring it out. We'll set it up close to your work, close to your house, wherever. We'll drop it in a sewer line and we'll run it down through there and kind of let you see what it does and explain the importance of why it's a necessity to us.
What would be the cost of, so let's just say, you know, we get an emergency, as much as you use it, we get in a situation where this one goes down and we need it. What are the costs for like rental and all that? Or can you even rent something like this?
You can, but it's such a specialized unit, you can't rent it from, let's just say, a Grand Rental Station.
Right.
Or United or
Yeah,
somewhere
you
like
gotta
that.
go to the source.
You gotta go to the source. And typically, like, let's just take, for instance, the camera van that we currently have and have had and operate is made by a company called Q's. They're located in Orlando, Florida. So if you need to rent a camera van from them, they're like, they know that we're a customer of them. We have been since 2000, and they've been working on our camera. Our camera van has gone to Orlando. They have come here and worked on our camera van just to kind of keep us up and going. Let's just say I call them next week and say, hey man, my camera's down and I need to rent one for this long. And they say, okay, we got them.
But then they know they.
I don't know exactly what the cost would be.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But they're gonna charge you for getting the camera van up here from Orlando. They're gonna charge you probably a per day or per week, per month rental.
Mhm.
Then your camera van's probably gotta go back to Orlando, if we're talking about the camera unit. Now, if we're talking about the vehicle being down, it's a Ford van. We carry it
Right.
over to Long Lewis. They work on it, but it's a 2000 model. So they have to get parts, et cetera.
Yeah.
And, you know, there could be lead times that are associated with that. It's a.
I'm
it's
just
a-
wondering, worst case scenario,
Yes,
I get it.
what would that cost us for, 2 weeks worth of rental
yes.
in a situation like that? Because I mean, if we're talking like $10,000, okay, but if we're talking like $40,000,
Yeah, I don't
as,
think-
as it starts going up, then you're looking at
Yeah, I don't
the
think
price
that they
tag
would,
and-
I don't think that they would hit you with a $40,000
Sure.
rental for 2 weeks, but I think that $10,000 would be a nice round number to
Yeah.
start with for a 2-week rental. And then you have the bigger issue, again, we're talking about antiquated computer equipment, antiquated cables
Mhm.
that possibly, they keep some parts on the shelf, but oftentimes when we call Q's, they're like, man, y'all got a really old unit. And we're like, yeah, and they're like, okay, we've got to special order this cable and so on and so forth. Well, now you're paying for a special ordered cable.
Mhm.
You're paying freight into them, freight out from them, because typically they don't want to drop ship it. They want to get it into their location so that their technicians can test it before it comes to you. And, it's just, if we could update that camera van, it'd put us in a lot better situation. Plus, there would be some warranty on the vehicle, and there would be some warranty on the camera unit.
And then there's always, of course, the potential being able to sell the one that we have. And that's not gonna fetch a huge sum of money, but of course, we would get what we could get.
or
out
we
of it.
could rent it out.
Yeah. We could.
There you go.
Yeah, you could do something, sure. If you look on page 34, just continue, you can see the vehicles that we gonna sell, to be sold in 2027. And then, as Will mentioned earlier, the page 35, that's just a list of the vehicles that we have. And as you can tell, some of these we've replaced, like the spreader trucks at the very bottom. That's something that we use at the wastewater facility. We've replaced those in the last couple of years. And there's some other ones, you know, you can tell, just simply looking at the mileage, you can tell the ones that are relatively new. And then the last couple of pages are just the, as Mark mentioned earlier, those are just the positions there again. With water and wastewater specifically, we're talking about the service technician, and that would be the additional position. But with gas, it would just be no change as far as money this year. We would take place next year when the apprentice one became an apprentice two. So is there any questions about anything that we could potentially answer for you guys?
These abbreviations, I didn't know, we got WLTP, which is the Wilson Lake Treatment Plant at Cox Creek at the entrance to Veterans, and the CCTP is behind the warehouse on
Yeah,
Paxton.
Cypress Creek.
And what's the other for the,
What WWP for
C-
wastewater?
yeah, CC,
Wastewater.
it's usually CC,
WWP,
WWP,
okay.
Cypress Creek wastewater.
yes, that's except,
Adding this technician, is like equipment, everything, we're good on that? It's not like a new technician and then now we have to outfit him with.
Right, and actually, we talked about that earlier today, so we have, this of course, the service technician would require a vehicle, but we would budget for that vehicle in the coming, not for this budget, we would worry about that potentially on the next budget. We've got some vehicles that we can put to use. The one thing I will say about the service technician is we have to have a pretty reliable vehicle because they put the miles. Those vehicles are probably, we use all of ours, but those are probably the most used vehicles simply because of having to run from one end of our system to the other. But we do have a vehicle that we could put this individual in. And of course, the tools and whatnot, the tooling and everything that they would need, we budget for that. So it would, but yes, to answer your question, most likely not this specific budget, but on the next budget or potentially the one after, we would have to look at, we would roll a vehicle off and replace it with a service truck.
What kind of vehicle do they need?
I got F-350 service body because they're carrying different types of water meters, a lot of brass fittings,
Yeah.
meter box lids, meter boxes,
Valve keys.
yeah, valve wrenches, shovels, things of that
Yeah,
nature.
just a lot of different.
So it's basically a flip-top service body set on an F-350 cabin chassis. And they have some electronic equipment, so we typically buy crew cab trucks. The electronic equipment is kept in the crew cab in the backseat part of it, and that way it's not exposed to a potential leak in a utility service body bed
Yeah.
or something like that.
Crew cabs are actually safer for the drivers. I don't know if anybody knew that. When you're driving a service body truck, a crew cab gives you more space to see.
If you get hit in the
Food
rear.
for thought.
Yeah. That's right.
And they do bring a little bit more at resale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and on the last thing, I gotta show y'all this, because Rebecca and Heath put a lot of work into these budgets. So,
Absolutely.
the last part is it's the same thing, but we've got the actual audited numbers from 24, 25, where we are through the first 8 months of this year's budget, and here's our budget for this year. It's just pulling from this and our budget from last year.
Yeah, that's what I was looking through earlier, and it's really good. Like, very appreciative for this because it kind of shows it shows us exactly where we're at leading into this next year.
And it does
Where
your
we're sitting,
income statement,
yeah.
and it gets into capital as
Right.
well.
Yeah, the comparison is handy.
Yeah.
It's just very well laid out, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
They do a great job.
Trial and error.
Yeah, they put a lot of time and effort into it, and I don't know how many I know I've
We're on
seen.
version 3 and 4.
Yeah, I was fixing to say, I know I've seen at least 3 versions to this point, potentially a 4th with you, so. Because like I said, Heath had laid everything out based on the current rates, and then once we got everything approved, then we had to go back, not necessarily start all over again, but had to go back and add a bunch of numbers in. So both he and Rebecca do a good job, and we appreciate them, the effort, and, because I know from February to June, it's probably not their favorite time of year. They probably don't have a favorite time of year, but I know I hassle them quite a bit during those months, just trying to get everything prepared. And we have, they spend a lot of time, but we have a lot of meetings, we meet and we discuss and we cut, and all the things that go along with it, so. But if y'all don't have an issue with it, I would like to get it on the council session, for full council approval at the next meeting. I like to do it the first meeting of June if we can, and then that way if something comes up and if we don't get it approved, then we have the second meeting to fall back on, and then that way we're ready to go by July 1. But if y'all don't want us to try to, if you don't want me to try to get it, I actually think the cutoff for the June meeting, it was today at lunch, but I've kind of prepared everybody that this was the quickest we could get a utility committee meeting together, and everybody's agreed, I can add it to Granicus either late this afternoon or first thing in the morning. And I guess June 2nd.
Be the June 2nd council meeting.
June 2nd, I was trying to remember what the first Tuesday, but the June 2nd council meeting. And it was the 2nd or 3rd.
What do y'all think?
If y'all are agreeable.
I mean, I don't really have any more questions on it. I mean, I'm good to, I motion we can move it on to the council for our next meeting.
And of course, if you look at it and you have any questions between now and
Sure.
then, all you've got to do is shoot an email or call or text or whatever, and we'll be glad to get you any answers that you have.
Can we make sure that the
The rest of
other
the council,
council get this
Yes,
soon?
yes,
And I do have one request for next year.
okay.
I would like this before we come in a meeting to discuss it.
Sure.
I would like to have it in advance, so I can have
Did
opportunity.
we not get it?
it's
Did
in
we-
an email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I must have missed
Yeah,
it.
because I've already looked at it.
No, it's in an email, yeah.
Mark said, I
Yeah.
don't remember what day
It
it
was
was.
Monday when we got
Yeah.
finally
Yeah.
got everything finalized.
Yeah, we didn't get, it was not anything that was last week, it was, we got it in the last few days, but I knew
Okay.
they were trying to get everything prepped and prepared, so.
I didn't know if there was any changes since we
Yeah,
had gotten that.
no.
but it's-
That's
Okay.
correct, yes, ma'am, there were no changes from when y'all received
I
it.
apologize, I missed it.
Just printed, he just basically sent it and then brought a printed
You
version.
did send it
we
to
like the
everybody.
printed version, don't
Oh,
we?
definitely.
No, just in the committee.
Okay, you'll go
Me-
ahead and forward that to
Yeah.
everybody.
Me and Katrina are old school, we like the paper.
Oh, I'm the same way, I prefer a hard copy.
And what we'll do next, if y'all go moving it forward, we will print the binded copy for everybody and put it in y'all's box.
Yeah, we'll have that,
Yeah.
should be able to get that sometime this week,
Yeah.
and then
Well,
have
if
that in
it's not
print.
gonna change, I'm good with this, you don't have to do.
Okay.
another
Yes.
one.
We're still gonna give you the
Yeah,
pretty
don't
bound
want to
copy.
what price.
Okay, okay.
I don't want you wagging.
And if-
Pack a loose leaf paper.
And if you want us to, we
Gust
can
of wind
also
comes and blows
send
everything
we
everywhere.
can send a digital copy to the other council members.
Please do.
And that way they've got a digital copy, and of course, they'll go ahead and prepare the bound copies
Yeah,
as well.
that way they can go ahead and be looking at it
Yes.
as well.
We can get Mark, and if you
We
want
like
to
as
take
much
care of
notice
We
Sure.
do.
as possible.
Yes,
As you see, we're a little different. We like to study.
yeah, absolutely. Well, this is one of those things we look at for months and months, and I mean, I have dates, milestones that I like to make sure that we meet. And we start really in January is when we start, as soon as the year rolls over. Not so much with Rebecca and Heath, but I start with my superintendents and my supervisors. Hey, we refer to them as wish lists. Get me your wish list. What are the things that you're needing? And then I go through and make cuts first, and then we send it to them, and they put everything together. Then we go back and we make a second round of cuts if we can. And if we have to, we make a third round of cuts, based off the information that they provide us. And so, but yeah, Mark will get a copy sent to the other council members, and then we'll also get the hard copies made, and then we'll have it ready for,
Yeah, I
Well,
can
even-
forward the email.
For next year's budget, with this rate increase, let's try to be as conservative as
Sure.
possible.
Oh, yes,
I mean, we want you to have what you need to operate, of course,
yes.
but let's just remember, let's be as conservative as
Oh,
possible.
yeah, we try to cut everything, like I said, what you see is, it's pretty much a bare bones. Some things we just have to have, our lift stations, all the maintenance and things that go into it, but as far as like, vehicles and equipment, we try to only get the absolute necessary things that we have. And we certainly don't want to take advantage of the new rate structure that we have, but, I will say that it allows us to breathe a little bit easier. We can, now I'm much more comfortable with buying a van because we know we have some money to fall back to if we do have some catastrophic event. Whereas before we've held on to that money in fear that we would have something and we would not have the money to cover it,
But still something of that magnitude that costs, just because it's in here as a wish list, it's just gonna have to come through by
Sure.
resolution for the council.
100%, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So,
Yes, any substantial item that we purchase, we'll seek approval before, If we need a, $150 seal, I'm not gonna run to you guys for a $150 seal, we'll just get the thing on the way, but if we're gonna spend, $500,000, $500,000 on a van,
Or if you
we,
need to get
let's
your
come
eyes
through
machine.
finance with that as well.
yes, we will, yeah. Yeah, we're getting to that critical time of year for eyes too, so,
About to get in that business.
I know.
you got that right. All right, we'll get everything sent
Thank
forward.
you all so much.
Thank y'all, I appreciate it very much.
Thanks, guys.
Like I said, this,